Welcome to the Mayo Clinic Ophthalmology Podcast, brought to you by Mayo Clinic. I'm your host, Dr. Andrea Tooley.
And I'm Dr. Erick Bothun. We're here to bring you the latest and greatest in ophthalmology, medicine, and more.
Today on the Mayo Clinic Ophthalmology Podcast, we sit down with Brian Sheehan. He is a past president of Lions Club International and past chairperson for Lions Club International Foundation. We're going to talk about what the Lions do internationally, what his memories were and passions were as a leader of that organization, and what he wants us to appreciate about what we can do now. Brian, welcome back to the podcast.
Thank you, Eric. It's great to be here.
It's only a few minutes later, but we're doing the second one.
I love it.
Dressed the same because of how important it is to expand on your areas of expertise and your perspective as a leader. In the first podcast, for those of you that haven't searched it, please go and look up the first opportunity we had to interview Brian Sheehan here on the Mayo Clinic Ophthalmology Podcast. That was about the history of the Lions, local service clubs, the footprint of what clubs do and why you should be engaged and as an individual and your whole family in your Lions clubs. Brian has taken that to a new level over his career and became, as I'm sharing to the audience, quite a leader internationally. So we're going to spend this podcast talking about what happened to you between 2022 and now. So share with us, you touched on in the first podcast, but about getting involved as a leader locally.
Yes.
Tell us about your leadership journey in Lions up to the international level.
You know, after I was the district governor, as we talked about in that first podcast, it was the next, and I was happy. I'm happy doing what I'm doing. I got a great job. I got a great business. I got a great family. Everything is wonderful. I got a great family alliance. And then all of a sudden, I took a past international president from one of our conventions in St. Cloud, Minnesota, to the airport, and he says, "Brian," he says, "how come you're not an international director yet?" And I said, "Oh, Bill," I said, I got 4 kids in grade school yet, and I'm just waiting for them. I got one more to go, and I'm going to wait for them to get done. Then I'll take a look, and I'll potentially look on an international level." And he goes, "Well, you fool," he says. He says, "What an opportunity to take your daughter, to be able to take her on this global trip that you're on." And I thought there for a minute, said, well, this could happen. So I went home and talked to my wife, Lori, very quickly. I said, "Hey, Lori, how would you like to travel the world being an international director?" There's 35 directors from all over the world. And so we took our daughter out of high school and we put her into I-9 learning. And so we took her everywhere with us in our travels. And it literally changed her life.
That was as a director?
That was as a director.
What year was that?
That was in 2010 to 2013.
Okay.
And we actually brought her into the slums of Calcutta. And she saw things that absolutely changed her life. She was crying. And I actually gave her a couple hundred rupees, which was like $1.98, which she gave to this lady. It was Food for Life program. And these were people that had nobody. And she literally came away from there that changed her life. She was crying on it. And the lady says, "You are my angel. You are my savior," and everything. She came away from there and said, I will never ask for the most current iPhone. It literally changed her. And what an opportunity. What a great thing it happened for us. And that was our first level on an international level that we had the opportunity to be able to do. We did most of our traveling throughout the States, but we have board meetings. We have 4 board meetings in a year that takes us to different parts of the world. And then after that, again, I was content. I'm good with having done what I've done. I'll continue to do things on the local level here in my own community, in multiple community in Minnesota, Manitoba, Northwest Ontario. I'm happy. And then some people had approached me and says, "We need something a little bit different, Brian." I'm a little different kind of a person sometimes. And they asked, "We need you on an international level." I said, it wasn't even on my radar of things I wanted to do. But I thought about it for a little bit. I was very immersed in my business. I have a global computer software company. And I didn't know if I could afford to be away from that for very long. And I had a brother in it and a sister in it, and my kids were just starting to come up in it. They gave me an opportunity of a lifetime. And they said, "Go do what you need to do." And, being in the computer industry, I could still hop on all the Zoom meetings and everything else. But
So they
gave me an
shouldered the
opportunity.
business.
They shouldered the business,
And
this is. I knew it would be like an 8-year run because you have to campaign for it globally around the world. You hit all the forums all over the world, and then your third vice president, then your second vice president, which I got stuck at for 2 years because of COVID, and then a first vice president, and then you're the chairman of the foundation. Then 2 years after that, you're a co-chair of the foundation. So it's an 8-year run.
So you're still a co-chair currently.
I'm still a co-chair currently of our foundation. I just finished that up.
International president 22-23?
Yep.
And then chairman of the foundation 23-24.
Exactly. First time we've had an international president from Minnesota in 100 years. 1921 was the last time we had an international president.
I remember the gala when your year started here in Minnesota, celebrating what you were launching on. I didn't realize you'd already launched on the journey even prior to that, but certainly
it's a long journey.
Let's just talk about, before we talk about some of your experiences, because that's really been just a phenomenal experience to dive into. Share with us then, as you rose into leadership ranks internationally, Lions Club International, what, you talked about in the first podcast, the Lions did vision, lots of other club interests, hearing, but Lions, frame with us Lions Club International. How much is vision? How much is other things, and what are they?
Vision is huge in Lions International. We became international in 1921 for the first time, coming up into Canada, but we're in all the continents, all the constitutional areas, and vision has always been one of the biggest things, and especially in third world countries and people that vision is a necessity of something we can really help. And that's part of our mission statement, is to avoid preventable blindness. That's what our goal is, to be able to do. So that takes off all over the world. But the rest of the world have other interests as well, that they want to be able to help out within their communities, not only their communities, but elsewhere. And especially when something like a natural disaster comes, and we'll talk about this momentarily, but these are memories that I have, that we've been to places where an earthquake has just happened. And you think of the buildings that have to be turned down, the people that had died, the orphans that are automatically a result of this is unbelievable. But then you also get into other things like environment. Environment is a very big thing for us, to make sure that this world is ready for our next generations. And hunger is a very, very big part of Lions International as well. Also things that contribute to blindness, like diabetes, childhood cancer. Youth is very, very instrumental in the vision and the scope of what Lions International is about. So wherever you have a passion, wherever the club wants to do something, that's what they do. So we hit a wide scope of the different things that we do globally.
So for ophthalmologists listening that may be a Lion or not, and now see it as an opportunity, I think many of us in practice appreciate Lions supporting eye banking, and if we need corneal tissue, scleral tissue, we can tap into that. Your maybe Minnesota Lions Eye Bank or others. We appreciate Lions' efforts into vision screening in different places, or maybe whether you're in Vermont or whatever state you might be. Yep. Maybe in research and different endeavors done. I think it's humbling to appreciate what this organization does, globally in all of these areas. And I think, as ophthalmologists, young ophthalmologists looking for areas of serving as an ophthalmologist, serving with their passion and interest towards ophthalmology, I didn't appreciate until longer in my Lions journey that your voice and your perspective are impactful because of that broader international footprint.
And a huge impact that we make globally is when we go to places, and we've been doing eye screenings for a long time, and now with the cameras that are available, the spot cameras and the well-channeled cameras, the Lions have a partnership that let the Lions go out and do the screening at the daycares, at the schools, at the malls, anywhere, and pick out the top ones that need to be able to have a referral to an ophthalmologist. So, you don't have to take all your time being an ophthalmologist of just going through all these screens. Well, we'll take it, and we'll take typically about 10% of all the people that we screen, we refer to an ophthalmologist. And that is such a huge impact on everything we do. In fact, we have a Lions of the United States, which we just created. And we're actually doing a service event, and it's hinging around vision, is we're nationally, because it's about advocacy and letting the world know our imprint of everything we do. So across the United States, in the week of January 13th, which happens to be our founder's birthday, Melvin Jones, we're doing screenings and we're doing eye care all across the United States and one entire week, and bringing the impact and to the world the great things that we can do in Lions. And that's going to make a big impact. And we do that not only just in the States, we do that everywhere in the world.
Yeah. As a pediatric ophthalmologist, I greatly appreciate the foundation of screening that happens at different areas, across the nation, around the world. And I think part of screening, people don't appreciate how screening is a journey. You get screened, whether it's colon cancer or vision screening, you're doing it throughout the life of a child, and there's different things you're looking for, different diseases at different, and the Lions being so foundational in screening is helping identify. And in doing those programs, you're getting the message and word out about how important it is to screen. In many locations when you travel, as you've done, it's amazing how often the resources are there for healthcare, but they don't have the foundation of screening for healthcare, whatever area of health it is, but in our area of vision, and just getting the awareness and the appreciation out there in some of these countries is critical.
And we've got the boots on the ground anywhere in the world. We're a big impact that we can help out locally on a local level. In fact, one of the big eye screening projects that we do, we've been partners with Special Olympics for the last 23 years. And we started with a program called Opening Eyes. And we bring all the athletes, all the champions of Special Olympics, and we ask for the help of ophthalmologists and the Lions being able to screen every one of the athletes. It's awesome. In fact, we're doing the national Special Olympics is right here in Minneapolis coming up in 2026. And I just met with the chairperson, and we're going to go around helping for people in the eye care industry to be able to help with some of those screenings we're doing of all the athletes.
Our Minnesota Academy and the Lions, we've done screening for Special Olympics here for years, every spring, and it's been
great.
Those are, if you haven't done those before, understand opportunities like that happen. Tap into your Lions that way. All right, share with us then. You help to appreciate there's so many areas that the Lions International is involved with. What were your highlights? Let me back up. What were your leadership challenges and lessons learned? And then we're going to get into highlights. But what leadership challenges are there? Because you're stepping to the top of this organization with a team of people around you.
Yeah.
But what was it like for you as a leader? What did it mean for your year and being away from home? What are the challenges?
And that was a challenge. It was a challenge with my business and with my family and the grandkids being born. And it was very difficult. I think one of the biggest challenges that I had was because we're international. And I have a style that I have a lot of humor inside my presentations. And I do some videos and quick things that I always relate to the subject. But when you're in OSEAL or in the Orient, and you're in India, and you're in different parts of the world where they have different cultures, it was hard for me. And you don't get the response necessarily, because I'm sitting there and I talk what I'm saying, and then an interpreter and a translator has to speak in what they're doing. And they would say, and the very prestigious people over in the Orient, and they'd say, you may want to laugh, but don't, because it will spread germs. And that was hard for me. Very difficult. But by the time I got done, they were all laughing in the house, and I brought the message across, and it was fabulous. That's
You're
part of
always
me.
smiling.
I'm always smiling. I got that from my dad. Absolutely.
So, with that, then, so just share. Terms about challenges. I tried to schedule you to a podcast in, I think, 2024. Maybe it was 23.
Yeah, I guess you
No, 2023. This is 21. Or even 22. It was hard to find a date you were even in Minnesota. How much were you gone?
We were gone. The year I was president, we were home for 6 days in the year.
And then the next year?
Most of it was international.
Unbelievable.
And the next year I was the chairman of our foundation, which is probably the most exciting year I've ever had in my life. We were home for 4 days.
10 days in 2 years.
10 days in 2 years. And before that wasn't a whole lot better. And but that was a sacrifice. This is my job. This is what I need to do. I need to motivate the Lions all over the world, because I can see the benefit. I can see the benefit by growing this organization, spreading the word. And we're very good Facebook people. My wife is fabulous on Facebook, and she made it feel like everybody in the world, this is their journey. It wasn't our journey at all, and it was just fabulous being able to show the events the different things that the Lions have done all over the world.
No, I remember one time when you got involved in your local leadership, your wife gave you a kick to get you to be more active.
Yes.
I don't think she ever dreamed that she would be away from home for all but 10 days and 2 years.
Careful what you ask for.
So when you travel then, you have all of these areas, humanitarian, hunger, vision, diabetes, whatever it might be, cancer. How do you divide, when you go to a given country, let's say India, do you divide your time in each of those programs, or do you have a month or two where you're focused on vision? How does this year structured?
We'll look at the things that they are passionate about in those particular areas. When we go to a place, especially when we were president, we could really schedule all across the country. We would move across the world and we'd work a time zone all the way back home again in the year. And but when we go to places, they wanted to be able to showcase the great things that they are doing for humanitarian service, and that's what would lead us to do the things we want to. And we would go in a community like for a weekend, or we'd be somewhere for 3 or 4 days, and then we'd move 3 or 4 days, and we'd move all year long. But so you can understand, we saw so many different events when it came to hunger, to vision screening, to youth, and we'd meet with the prime ministers and the presidents of all these countries when we went there, and we'd have discussions with them of Lions, because they all knew Lions, and how can we help, and how can we work together? We don't want your money. We have hands on the ground, boots on the ground everywhere in the world. How can we help each other out to be able to do things? That was the best. And people would always ask us, where's the best place you've been? It was always not only the last place we've been, because it was always the best, but it was when we did things like feeding the hungry in the slums of Calcutta, going to eye hospitals, looking at earthquake victims of things that have just happened in those areas, earthquakes, fires, things that were going on. Those are the memorable things we cannot get out of our head. In fact, we have a hard time sleeping with some of those things because the visions are still there, but the Lions were the ones that stood up and helped out so many people every single day when we're doing this journey. It's fabulous.
What is your message as you wrap up your year and now are home more?
A little bit.
A little bit. What's your message? Or how has your message changed? Like you come back to your local club or even 5M district. You've seen a glimpse of the world at a dose that, I mean, I can be tired being away for 2 weeks. You were away for most of the year, country to country to country. But how does your message change coming home?
You know, and no matter what it is, what events you're doing, if I'm doing something local in our community, or doing something, raising money to send at during war times or earthquakes or anything else across the country, it's always the same. It's the little pieces. But every little piece helps, no matter what you are doing. If you are helping somebody else out, you don't get far in life until you help somebody else out. That was the motto of our founder. As long as you are helping another person out, you add all of those together all over the world on a daily basis. And literally, we help out millions and millions of people every single day. When you add them all up, I had a great friend that had passed away in 2004 when I was a district governor, and he was a retired history teacher. And when he got done being a history teacher, he bagged up groceries in Byerly's grocery store. And one lady told him one time as she was leaving, she says, "Have a good day." We all say that, have a good day. And not District Governor West, he chased this lady down in the parking lot. He said, "It's not have a good day, it's make a great day." So my message to the people, my message to the Lions and the Leos all over the world is, it's up to you to make a great day. And you're making take a step back and realize how many great days you are making for people, not only in your community, but globally. We're doing that for millions and millions of people every single day, and that is something to be proud of. I wake up every day and I'm more proud than the day before. Even now, it's just fabulous when you see when you can help somebody else out.
When I've traveled, well, first of all, as a Lion here and being infected with the passion of the Lions locally and just appreciating what we do locally and appreciating how we support international efforts, I very much was fueled by that, but I didn't realize how much that passion is shared, as you're saying, everywhere you go. So to be in Zimbabwe and see a park bench with a Lions logo, or in Nepal and have a telephone booth, or a local school stadium with on the back. They helped build the bleachers. One of my favorite was I was in an airport coming back on another meeting or service trip, and the lady right behind me, I think it had a lion's pin. And a young gal, and I turned around and I said, "Are you a lion?" And I can't remember which airport. It's somewhere in Africa. I think I was coming back. And I shared, "Well, I'm a lion." And she just lit up. And her comment was she was traveling on an exchange program that was a youth exchange.
Yeah,
I don't
that's
know.
a big thing with lions.
So tell me about that, because you talk about leaving these little footprints, but also it's not just someone in Rochester leaving a footprint in Kenya. It's facilitating all of us together. It's helping the Kenyans leave their own footprints and everyone together collaborating. But tell me about the exchange, because the Lions were supporting her travel. What is that program about?
Youth is huge for the Lions. And we've had a youth exchange program for decades and decades. In fact, we had a youth exchange, a foreign student exchange from Finland that came and lived with us for a week. And then they go to a youth camp and they talk all about the different cultures of everybody else that's there. And then they come back home to our place again for a week. And just what a great experience. If you have a child, you know that you can put them in the Lions host, are the families that host them, but the kids can choose and pick wherever they want. And what an education for those kids. What an experience for those kids to be able to do that. And like I said, youth was very, very important to this organization. We have what we call a Lions Quest program. And it is globally known. It's about social emotional learning. And whenever we talk to prime ministers or presidents or the Pope or anywhere in the world, it would always come back to how we can help with the Quest program. It's, here we used to have Say No to Drugs, and that did things very well. But the Quest program is something that's lived on and survived all over the world. It's about emotions and values, and when you make decisions, they have repercussions. And that's become very, very big with us. We have partnerships with ESPN and Disney, and we have a program called Kindness Matters. And that has helped us out so much all over the world when it comes to youth. And a lot of those kids see the great things that Lions do, and they want to be able to help out with that as well.
Phenomenal. So, last words for the ophthalmologists listening, either about your local chapter, which we touched on before, but even Lions International. What role, what opportunities are there for ophthalmologists to be engaged, connect, cross-pollinating, and in supporting the Lions, or the Lions supporting their efforts? What would that look like?
Ophthalmologists, as you can understand, are very important to Lions because vision is still our staple, our mainstay of the things that we do. So the ophthalmologists that are out here, reach out to your Lions Club. You don't necessarily have to be a member, but just being able to offer your services or something, if you want to volunteer for help to be able to help things out, just be involved in knowing what your local Lions do, and then also seeing that impact that we make not only there, but anywhere that you go to, you're going to be able to see the great things that we do. So I really ask that if you want to leave a mark in society, and you have the great education, the great ideas on how the Lions will be able to help. The Lions are more than willing, day in and day out, to volunteer, offer their services, to be in places to be able to help out. Much like the children's screening we do now, they would do that day in and day out if they could to. And what a great opportunity for the ophthalmologists here to be able to be a part of that or give direction as well. And where are some additional areas that we can help that you're passionate about? Because we're there and we'll help out with that.
I love that idea. I appreciate just being involved locally and understanding and engaging. One of the things when I travel, I know many ophthalmologists in academia travel, they get invited to give a talk. Let's say it's in Sweden or it's in India, and you might connect with ophthalmologists that you might go observe in a clinic, or you might go give another talk because they know you're in country. I think it's probably an unrecognized opportunity for all of us that do those sort of academic teaching things, is to reach out to our local Lions if you need to, or international Lions, say, who in those locations, what are the Lions leaders? Because I imagine a Lions Club in Delhi, India, knowing you're coming, would love to hear from an ophthalmology perspective coming in. Either education about vision screening, or something about eye banking or partners in research. One of my colleagues, Dr. Bernheisel, did a year studying corneal transplantation in Africa. But learning about enthusiastic discussions about what they're doing, supporting their local causes, I think it's something that we can all appreciate. There's an opportunity there when we travel to tap into local Lions.
I think it's all about your network. I was very instrumental that we have Lions Eye Bank all over the world of the different ones, but they were all autonomous. They all had their own little niche. In 2018, I got all the Lions Eye Banks all over the world to get together to collaborate on the different things we do and being able to help other eye banks and come out. When we traveled all over the world, and we've done 9.7 million cataract surgeries, and there's a need because they don't have the resources, they don't have the supplies in a lot of the areas to where we can collaborate. Even the best practices of doing cataract surgeries. My daughter in high school saw more surgeries than any kid would ever need to know. But even as we go around to all parts of the world, their practices are so much different, and they need the help, they need the resources, they need the difference, as you were just talking about, and what are the best practices? How can we do things better now?
Yeah. We were talking about earlier, the Mayo brothers, had such a passion to internationally travel, teach, and learn themselves. And in that spirit, just sharing best techniques so that each local place. You talk about eye banks and working together in your efforts. Even on the front of the magazine that highlighted you when you were international president, Together We Can. Yep. So when you're an international president, you get your own logo or your slogan.
Our theme's always been for 107 years, we serve, but the president gets to come up with a special theme they would like, and I always do things together.
And your theme being pin. Tell me about the pin again.
Pin that's my international pin. And a long time ago when I was district governor, and again, as I said before, I like to do funny videos, and I was asked to be the MC of our twinning banquet between the district governors and the vice governors coming up behind me. And I said, Lori, I need a couple of videos. I don't have the time to look for them. So she sent me this one video of this polar bear, and it was stretching across the ice, and it fell asleep. And that's exactly how I felt going out as a district governor. The next video was this penguin jumping up and down and all over, as excited. That's how I felt as my vice governor coming up behind me. So that's actually a pin with 3 penguins helping each other out. So I've been stuck. I have 80,000 penguins in my house.
All right, let me see
everywhere we go, we have penguin socks. I have 365 different kinds of penguin socks.
This is a Brian thing.
This is a Brian thing.
But it obviously melded when you're international.
Everybody loved them all over the world. And I'm going to give you, I have a stress penguin, and it's Make a Great Day on there. Okay. But that's going to get you through anything in life, Eric. But it's just, people are energized by it. They love it. I actually had one in my pocket. I had a meeting with the Pope. And I had it in my pocket. The Italian Lion said, you can't give him that. And I said, really? How come? No, it's not protocol. I know if I gave it to him, he would have loved it. I know he would have laughed. I've given it to the president of Taiwan. I've given it to presidents all over the world. It's the first thing they put in their pocket and they keep. And they just love
it. Well, in the spirit of, Together We Can through the Lions, and in the spirit of enthusiasm, cheerleading for either the next leader or an organization on. I just want to say thank you for being a jumping lion for the Lions, for eye care, for your community, for our community, and for being here on this podcast.
Thank you, Eric. I so appreciate it. This is wonderful. Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
You can find all episodes of the Mayo Clinic Ophthalmology podcast on our website.
Thank you for listening, and we definitely look forward to sharing more